All right, look, I'm going to admit it. I'm an old man. I do not know who Abigail Breslin is. If you do, more power to you. Me, I don't. But the reason why I'm talking about Abigail Breslin is because she had an incredible response to a commenter who said that only reported rapes count, right? And so what I really want to talk about more is the graphic that she posted, because this graphic that's posted, if you believe it, right? Because I understand that there's some people who don't believe in regards to how many rapes that actually get reported and how many rapes happen versus how many get reported. I get it that there's some people who don't believe that. I do. I surely do, because that is because the reason why a lot of rapes don't get reported is the very essence of how rape culture gets perpetuated. Okay, and so let's break this down. So she posted this graphic that out of every 1,000 rapes, 994 perpetrators will walk free. Okay, and so then at every level of this, there's some things that happen that I would say that perpetuate this idea of rape culture. Remember, rape culture doesn't have to be about someone saying, "Oh, it's okay to rape." That's not what rape culture is. Rape culture is the idea that things that we do that actually victimize people in regards to forcing sex on them, that we actually don't think of it as forcing sex on them. Okay, so anyway, so I'm gonna leave that to another show. This one, I'm just gonna handle this real quick. And so out of these 1,000 rapes, reported rapes, of these 1,000 rapes, 310 get reported. Okay, so here's Rape Culture 101. It's talking about there's a ton of reasons why almost 700 rapes don't get reported, right? There could be a power differential between the person that was raped versus the person that was the rapist, right? It's like that person could be their boss, that person could be a coworker. Honestly, another way is that that person could actually be in a current or previous relationship with the rapist, right? And so making things just that much more complicated. Look, some people can't afford a rape kit. Now that is sacrilege. That is something that should absolutely be fixed. It's like, are you really trying to tell me that if you have to report a rape, you have to pay for your own rape kit? Now, I know that in some states and in some spaces that they don't have to pay for, but I assure you that there are spaces that still where the victim has to pay for this, and that is wrong. I'm straight up. I can't even think of something more wrong than that. Okay, and the last one, and probably the biggest one is shame. I mean, plain and simple, the shame that you are going to have to endure in regards to being raped. Maybe you made quote a bad decision, and that may have put you in a bad situation to where it was easier for a rapist to rape you, right? But let me make this real clear to you in regards to what I believe, and maybe this just sounds like I'm dancing around in La La Land, but for real. Someone should be allowed to walk around butt naked at midnight in a park and not be raped. Okay, rape is wrong. Therefore, someone who's not making the best decision shouldn't have to be punished for it. That's just saying, right? And so when we're talking about rape and the decisions that may have led to it, it's not that person's responsibility, if you would, to not be raped, right? So just saying, that shouldn't happen, period, point blank, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? So anyway, so then we go down from 310 rapes that get reported, we go down to 57. Okay, 57 is the number of that will lead to arrests, right? And so leading to arrest, well, that means that you have to have some evidence and stuff like that. I want to tell you straight up that probably a lot of those numbers are happening because the victim destroyed a lot of the evidence. And I don't mean destroyed it in a malicious way, but I mean destroyed it in regards to they felt dirty and shamed, and so they sat in the shower and washed themselves for hours upon hours, washing that off of them. But the thing is, unfortunately, they washed off the evidence, and so then that's something that with education you would be able to help people actually be able to report not only report more rapes, but actually be able to create more arrests that happen after them, right? And so anyway. So 57 goes down to 11, and that's 11 is the number of cases that are actually referred to a prosecutor. Okay, and so we go from 57. So what could have happened? Police officers, they might not have found anything, or If you're like the Maryland Police Department, which this is reported on in a different episode, if you're in the Maryland Police Department, maybe you just didn't do your job in regards to maybe you left the case open, maybe you didn't take it seriously, maybe you didn't interview all the victims or all the suspects. Yeah, just saying. Right now, look, I was very specific. This is the Maryland Police Department that I'm talking about. However, there's a part of me that wonders if the practice of this is, in regards to police departments, isn't a little bit more widespread than the practice isn't a little bit more, widespread. I'm just saying, right? So think about that. And so 11 get reported to the prosecutor or get reported to the prosecutor. 7 actually wind up in felony convictions. Now, that's actually a pretty decent ratio. That's over 60% there. So just saying that once they do get to this space, that this is a pretty decent ratio of the conviction. However, this is the one that bothers me. All of it bothers me, but this bothers me a little bit too. And that out of those 7, 6 of them actually get incarcerated. So there's one that's not going to prison. Now, that reminds me of this dude named Brock Turner. Now, if you don't know who I'm talking about, feel free to Google him. But he's a guy who got convicted of multiple charges, but the judge let him walk with just probation, straight up. That was crazy. But anyway, and so when it comes down to the end, so this person, now getting back to Abigail Breslin, so she goes off on this person that talked about how only reported rapes count. Okay, look. Now she went off, she got emotional, she told her own story. I get it. I don't got a story, so I'm not gonna tell a story. But what I wanna say is this. Look, even if you only count reported rapes, that's 310 rapes that happen and only 6 convictions. That's less than 10%, folks. Or excuse me, it's less than 2%. That's crazy. Crazy. Less than 2% of these 310 are actually lead to incarceration. And so then, if you want to understand how rape culture perpetuates itself, that is a short lesson on that one. So if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to write those below. And if you like what you're seeing, like what you're hearing, please make sure you subscribe and share, and go to brucehoskins.com in order to find out more about who I am and what I do. Take it easy, y'all. Peace.